Congratulations on making Team USA. Has it set in yet?
Yeah, I think it's finally set in for me. Just honestly, watching all of the other Olympic trials definitely helped it set in a little bit more. I was kind of watching with a bunch of friends and I was getting really excited and I was like, oh my gosh, like they just made it. And all my friends were like, so did you. And it was just pretty crazy to watch that and watch other people's dreams come true and then realize that like mine came true like the week before. So it's definitely set in and I'm just excited for the experience and excited to get there.
Andrew, take us back to the beginning. How did you get into diving?
Yeah, so I started with gymnastics. I was a gymnast from when I was 9 until 13. So um, when I started gymnastics at 9, I did that for a year, and then I went to like a community pool on a field trip with my school. And I was just doing like my flips that I knew how to do off of the diving boards. And the diving coach there saw me doing those flips and she invited me to join the diving team. It was just kind of like a summer league program, pretty lighthearted and just fun. But I did really well that summer. And then the diving coach at it was the Long Island Divers, a USA Diving affiliated club. He invited me to join their team, and that's kind of how I got my start there. And then I did gymnastics and diving together for 3 years, which was pretty hard. Lots of training hours, still going to school full time. So it was tough, but I mean, I was like 11 and 12 years old, so I had endless amounts of energy. And then decided to switch my focus all to diving when I was 13.
I'm glad you brought up your gymnastics background. A lot of divers have a gymnastics background. Can you talk about how the transition was pretty smooth from gymnastics to diving? Obviously, there's different elements and fundamentals, but just talk about that transition.
Yeah, I thought the transition was pretty easy. Um, my gymnastics coach was amazing and he was really good at teaching twisting. So twisters were always definitely my favorite and best dive, especially at the start of my career. Um, I did start off as a platform diver, and I do think the transition from gymnastics to platform diving is a little bit easier at first because it's a little bit quicker, and gymnastics is kind of a quicker twitch sport. Whereas springboard diving, you're waiting on the board a little bit longer. You need to learn that patience. So I think as I transitioned from when I quit gymnastics and then just focused to diving, I was able to kind of learn the patience of springboard, and that helped me to kind of make the choice to become a springboard diver. And now I'm mostly focused on springboard.
And now you're an Olympian. So it's a good thing you transitioned from gymnastics to diving. Andrew, let's
Yeah.
talk about Olympic trials and that experience. What was it like to be at the Olympic team trials?
Yeah, so I was there in 2016, and like I said, I was a platform diver back in 2016. I didn't have a very good competition. I wasn't really expecting to make it at all, but it was just really more for experience, and I didn't do so well. But being there in 2016 just really kind of gave me that like passion and that desire to work really hard for this next one. Just seeing all of those Olympians make it in 2016. So then being there this year, I mean, it was just pretty crazy. It was just so much hard work and so much, so many people have put so much into what I'm doing, and it all kind of culminated there. So it was crazy, but I actually felt pretty calm the whole time, which I was happy about. I just knew that I had to trust in my training, my coach, trust in God, and I was just really happy with the way that I felt throughout all of it.
Trials is just another meet, right? Just execute the dives.
Yeah, I mean that's what you try to think about. It's definitely in the back of your head that you're going towards your biggest goal, but that was definitely what I was just trying to think about. Just in do my 6 dives as best as I can in each list, and I think I almost did that. In some of my lists, I had a few misses, but I was able to come back.
You did, and I'm glad you talk about that. You came back from a huge deficit, Andrew. How were you able to pull that off?
I had qualified in synchro a few days before, So going into the individual event, I was feeling pretty calm. I knew that I had already got my spot to Tokyo, but I did really want to qualify for individual. I haven't really had too much international experience in individual, and I definitely wanted to show what I can do because I had previously just did really well at the NCAA championships. So I wanted to show what I could do, and I was a little bit upset that I didn't do that in the prelims and the semifinals. So going into the finals, my mindset was just do all of my dives to the best of my ability. I wasn't watching the scoreboard at all because I knew that I was so far behind, and I didn't really want to see where I was in the standings because to me that didn't really matter. It was more about just kind of like proving to everyone else and proving to myself that I could put together that list of 6 dives that I've been doing so well back home. Um, and so, yeah, it was actually pretty crazy because I have been dealing with a little bit of a back injury, so I didn't get to train all of my dives that day. And my coach called me into his, we had like a meeting in the hotel before the final, and he just kind of told me to trust my training and remember what we've been doing back home because what I was doing back home was pretty amazing. I've been diving the best that I have in my whole life. And so yeah, it was just that level of trust that I had that I think got me there, and definitely a little bit less nervous because I knew that I was already going to Tokyo. But yeah, I mean, it just felt so good to put that list of 6 dives together. And then honestly, after the competition, I didn't know where I was. I looked up and I saw, and I still knew a few divers had to go, but no matter what the outcome was, I was just happy that I was able to kind of prove to myself that I could do those 6 dives.
Andrew, do you feel that having that cumulative score allowed you to be able to get back and bounce back?
Yes and no. I think that the cumulative score was good for me in a way. I mean, I was in 6th place going into the final, so if it wasn't cumulative, then I would have probably done even better in the final. But I think that the cumulative score is the way to go. It does show consistency, and really throughout the 3 lists, the only 2 dives that I missed were the back 3.5s in both the prelim and the semi. So yeah, I think that the cumulative list that definitely did help me have that have it almost helped me have a little bit of like a chip on my shoulder going into the final, kind of just knowing that I wanted to prove that I could make that comeback. And I have done similar things in the past with coming back like that. And I'm definitely a finals type of diver. So I think the cumulative list was to my advantage.
I kind of went out of order here. I talked individually and then synchro. I should have done synchro and then individual, but
Yeah.
let's go back to synchro. And I like that you mentioned, even though you made the team in synchro, you almost like went into the individual event with a clear slate, right? Even though you already made the team with Mike Hixon, who I talked to yesterday, and he spoke so highly of you. And it's so interesting. I asked him, I said, Mike, has Andrew picked your brain about what it's like to be at the Olympics? He's like, no, he's got this. Like, we're so good. And I kind of want to talk about the two of you together. What makes you such a dominant pair?
I think just the level of trust that we have in each other. I mean, even from the start, I had never really done 3 meter synchro before, and to come in and my first partner be the previous Olympic silver medalist was a little bit scary and intimidating. But we had a meeting in our coach's office, and I just remember the first thing that Mike told me was that he trusted me and that the reason why we were doing this was because he saw so much potential in me. Um, and that was just so perfect. That it was a perfect way to start the relationship in synchro, and I think that it's just built from there. We've been able to help each other. Definitely, I'm a little bit stronger in some of the twisting dives, and he's a little bit stronger in some of the rotation dives. So like as a synchro pair, we've kind of just like worked towards each other. That's so important, and as well as he's just kind of taught me how to be a better competitor and just stay calm through all of it. So, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better synchro partner and a better mentor to kind of get me through this.
That's awesome. And Andrew, diving is an individual sport, but it is very much so a team sport when you're working together as a synchro pair. What specifically have you learned from him? You know, in any capacity, mentally. I know you mentioned physically, you guys challenge each other because your strengths are the opposite of each other, which is awesome. What are some things he's told you to kind of prepare you to compete at the Olympic Games here in a few weeks?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from him is to make every practice count. I know that every single time that I show up to the pool, he is there and ready to do his best that he can do that day. And I think that sometimes prior to doing synchro with him, I definitely would show up to the pool on a bad day where I wasn't feeling well and just kind of like let myself kind of fall into a little bit of a bad mental pattern. And he really helped me get out of that. And I'm really grateful for that. And like I said, he has just taught me to be such a great competitor and to not really worry about what other people are doing because we are so confident in what we do. So we know that if we do our best list of 6 dives, that we can be right up there in the medals and hopefully go for the gold. So we're just excited to work on the little things. We have all of the major things down, and we just need to work on some small details in order to get those few extra points that we need leading into Tokyo.
We want to learn a little bit more about you both as a pair. What do you guys do together off the pool deck?
We talk a lot over text and just kind of like see how each other's doing. But it hasn't been too much of a outside of the pool relationship really. Especially when we first started, I was a kind of a young guy, and he was a little bit older, so we were kind of in different parts of our lives. It has. I really am very grateful that our relationship has grown because at first it was kind of just a synchro pairing and not really as much of a friendship. And I really do think that we have bonded as I've gotten older and become really great friends. So yeah, outside of the pool, we don't really do too much together because, like I said, we're in different parts of the country. But it's just been great to have him. If I need something, I know that I could always text him, and vice versa. So
Communication is key, right? Just communicating
absolutely,
with the distance.
yeah.
Andrew, I want to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and just the challenges that year presented. Of course, with the Olympic Games being moved an extra year, right? An extra year of training, an extra year of preparation. How did that help you?
I think that was very helpful for me personally. I obviously was one of the younger competitors in the 3-meter event. Obviously not as young as Tyler Downs, and so impressive, and I'm so proud of him that he had such a great showing, but definitely one of the younger ones. And I think that extra year to just kind of like hone in on a little bit more of consistency on some of my dives was really special for me. And I spent a lot of time during quarantine with Jessica Parado. She came to my house, and we spent like 2 months at my house, kind of just going through it together, still doing at-home workouts, mental training, and stuff like that. And I think that that was so important for me to just have someone who did have the same goal as me with me that whole time. And whenever I was feeling a little bit low or she was feeling a little bit low, we were there to push each other. So I definitely couldn't have done any of this without her, and she's been one of my rocks through it all. So I'm just really grateful for her.
That's awesome that you and Jess kind of paired up there for a little while.
Yeah.
What kind of specific elements, how would she help you specifically? What would she tell you on a day you were down and vice versa?
Um, Basically just to remember the goal and remember that this won't last forever. Because obviously during COVID, sometimes it did seem like it was just never ending. We were never going to get back in the pool, and we were kind of just at my house in North Carolina in like this kind of like stagnant state. And she would just kind of push me to like I said, we did a lot of like at home workouts, visualization and stuff like that. And she was just there to kind of push me when I was down. I don't really know how to put it into words, but just having her energy there and the energy of a previous Olympian, she knows what it's like to go. Obviously, she's never been through circumstances like this, but she knows what it's like to go through adversity and come out of it as an Olympian. So it was just amazing to have her there with me.
Andrew, this year just has been so dominant for you, winning the 3 meter at NCAAs, and that kind of set the table for trials. And here you are, probably feeling super good heading into Tokyo. How have you been able to do it?
Honestly, just trusting my coach. He's been absolutely amazing for me mentally, I think, more than physically. I kind of have always known that physically I could do all of this and I could be up there. And especially at NCAAs, I surpassed that 500 mark that I'd never done before. And that was all a mental battle. I mean, in practice, I've been at that level for probably 2 years now, but it just wasn't coming together in the meet. And this past year, we've really been able to hone in on some of the mental side of diving and just making me feel confident and making me feel like I know that I very well could be one of the best divers in the US and hopefully one of the best divers in the world come Tokyo. So it's just been all about confidence for me. And I feel like the extra year really was important in giving me that confidence.
It's very much so as mental as it is physical, right? We train our bodies to have that muscle memory, but mentally, that's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew, you've done a lot of work with special needs charities. Why is that so important to you?
So my twin brother actually was born with pretty severe autism. So growing up with him has just, I mean, it's been amazing to see his growth. He went from being very severely autistic, pretty low on the spectrum, to now I don't even know if they would classify him as being on the spectrum. My parents were able to get him into the therapy that he needed at a very young age, and my mom has always given back to that community. She worked as a well, she was a police officer, but she worked it was called PAL, Police Activity League, for the special needs unit. So it's just something that's really close to my heart, and something that I really love to do, to just be with those kids and inspire them to know that they can do more than some people tell them that they can do, because I know that sometimes they're classified in a group that they're thought of as less, or thought of that they can't do as much. And um, I mean, my brother is a prime example. He's a pharmacy student at UNC, hopefully going to be a pharmacist, and I'm just so proud of him, and I'm just hopeful that that the stigma around autism and other special needs it changes. I think it can.
That's amazing. And I'm sure your brother inspires you.
Absolutely. I mean, he's my biggest inspiration and always my biggest fan. And there was a really cool picture of him in the stands after one of my dives, and it was pretty emotional to see. But I'm just really grateful that he's been there for me every step of the way.
What was your interaction together when he found out that you made the Olympic team? What was the did you give each other a hug? Take me through those emotions together, what he said, what you said, just that interaction.
I mean, it was pretty special because as a person, he's not usually very emotional, and I looked up there and he was crying, and it was just amazing to see. And then after the competition, I was able to go up and see my family, and he was just he said, "I had no doubt the whole time, but I'm just so proud of you that you were able to pull it off," and that was really special to hear. So, yeah.
That's amazing, Andrew.
Thank you.
Andrew, I want to talk. I know we're weeks away from the Olympics. Take us through your mental and physical preparation. You're in Colorado right now, and you'll be in Tokyo here shortly. So, how are we preparing both physically and mentally for the Olympic Games?
Yeah, physically, just trying to keep my body healthy. I know that the dives are there, so just working on consistency with those dives, and Mike is now in Bloomington, so it's been nice to have him there. Work a lot on our synchro timing and stuff like that. And then I think mentally is even more important. Just going in, I've just been obviously I was in Tokyo for the World Cup a month ago, so visualization has been really easy because I know what the boards are like, I know what the venue is like, so just trying to do a lot of visualization and not really trying to think about outcomes, but definitely trying to go in with some goals because I think that it is important to, I obviously my goal was to make the Olympics, but I can't just go there without any goals, because that's not gonna do well for me. So I need to go in with the goal of hopefully medaling in both events. And if it happens, I think I'll be ecstatic. And if it doesn't happen, it'll be a great learning experience for hopefully the next time. But yeah, preparation has been going great, and I'm really excited.
Having familiarity with the boards and just everything, the water, the ceiling, just all spotting areas is so important, especially just feeling comfortable, right? Heading into it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we weren't supposed to go to the World Cup at first. It was kind of a last minute thing for us to go for synchro, but I really do feel like everything happens for a reason, and I think it's actually pretty lucky that I did get to go, because now when I go back, I'll feel almost a little bit like a veteran in the pool and be able to know kind of all of my surroundings, know what's going on, and obviously I've never been to an Olympic Games, but I have been to the venue, so I feel lucky about that.
Andrew, it's not every day that someone qualifies for two events. How are you balancing going into Tokyo with not only an individual event, but also a synchro event?
The balance I think will be pretty easy. My synchro event is on the 28th and then individual is on the 3rd. So I do have some time in between to kind of separate those in my mind. But I mean, I do the same dives in synchro, those 4 dives that I do individually, and then individually I just add the back and reverse. So preparation is pretty easy, and it's pretty much the same preparation that I was doing for trials. So that'll be good. It's just the format of competition is a little bit different. So definitely when we first get to Tokyo, I'll be a little bit more synchro focused because that's the first event. And then once synchro is over, it'll be nice because I can just focus on my individual. I'll have like 5 days to just focus on getting my 6 individual dives the best that they can possibly be. So I'm excited for the format because I think it makes it a little easier mentally, because at trials, we had to go back and forth and back and forth, and that's a little bit harder mentally. So I actually think the way our trials sets us up pretty good for the Olympics because it's almost easier mentally and physically.
Andrew, I know you're focused solely on the games, and rightfully so, but I have to talk goals. What are your goals in the future? I know this is just the beginning for you. Your diving career is just about to set off.
I mean, goals for obviously Tokyo. I mean, I would love to medal in synchro. That's probably the number one goal. Get Mike another medal. I think that we can do it. We've shown that we're a medal worthy team in the past, and we haven't even really shown our best. So I think synchronized medal, and then individually, I would love to be in the top 5. I think that my best diving could get me a medal, and if that's in God's plans, then it'll happen. But just try to do a consistent list, just like I said in that last list of trials. Just put together 6 dives that I'm proud of and that I'll be happy with at the end of the day. And then past Tokyo, I'm excited. I think that, like you said, this is just the beginning. Looking towards 2024, definitely trying to get some harder dives, kind of push the limits of diving a little bit, and just get stronger as a competitor. And then it'll be just a fun ride. I'm hoping to, shoot for that gold medal in 2024. I think that could definitely be a possibility for me. And even looking forward past that, 2028 isn't too far away, and a home Olympics sounds pretty cool to me. So just trying to keep the body right, and hopefully I'll be able to sustain training for that long. But I'm just excited. Like you said, this is just the beginning.
You say that so casually. Just add some flips, add some twists, get ready for the next Olympics, right? No big deal.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I am capable of doing a little bit more, and it's the time that I haven't really had with COVID, we were out of the pool, and so just came back and kind of did all the dives that I was comfortable with. I did actually put in that new dive for trials, and it did end up working for me in the final, so that was exciting. But I do think that I have a little bit more in the tank, and I'm hoping to show that in the next coming years.
Andrew, with USA Diving's campaign Champions Forged into Water, how has diving impacted your life?
I mean, diving is my life, but I'm careful with saying that because I know that you do need to have balance. And I think at some points it's been hard because obviously this Olympic dream has been in the back of my mind for so long. And I think sometimes it did kind of almost cripple me a little bit mentally and kind of dragged me down. But in the past year, I've definitely learned that I do need to have balance with school, diving, a social life. And I think that's why I've been so successful this year, is because I've kind of learned that balance. But I mean, diving has taught me pretty much everything I know. I've been doing it for 11 years now, and I think no matter what I choose to do after the sport, it'll just set me up for success because um, you learn so many things, meet so many amazing people that teach you things. I mean, I'm still learning every day from all of my teammates and all the coaches on the pool deck. It's just such a wonderful community to be a part of, and I think that's why I want to stick around for a long time, because I don't really want to leave this community anytime soon.
You couldn't have said that better. How do you always hope to be an ambassador for the sport? I know you mentioned you never want this community to ever leave your life, and I don't think it ever will. How do you always hope to have diving as a part of your life, Andrew?
So after my career as a diver, I'm hoping to be a coach, and I'll see where that leads me. But I do really want to help USA Diving work on expanding the sport because, like I said, it is just such an amazing community to be a part of, and I think that there's so many opportunities for so many people that haven't even been tapped into. Um, so I think expanding the sport would be such an amazing start. But yeah, as a coach, I hope to hopefully be a collegiate coach as well as a club junior diving coach, because I love all aspects of coaching. I love the coaching the older people who kind of have already had their foundation made, and those those new bright shining faces come into the pool and they're so eager to learn, and it's just amazing to see those new faces come in and have so much passion for the sport and help them reach reach their potential as well.
Our sport has such a big platform, no pun intended, right? I mean, it's one of the most watched
Right.
Olympic sports. I mean, every time the Olympics rolls around, everyone is always talking about diving, right? They always want to, it's such a beautiful visual sport. So keeping all the eyeballs on diving all the time, not just
Right.
when the Olympics roll around.
Right. And I think that's hard because, I mean, obviously, like you said, during the Olympics, it is one of the most watched sports, and then it kind of falls off a little bit those 3 years in between. So I don't really know how to get diving a little bit more in the spotlight, and I'm on the athlete advisory committee with USA Diving, and we're kind of trying to work on ways to put diving a little bit more in the spotlight. There's sports like gymnastics, swimming that also just like Olympic sports, just like diving, but they've done such a good job with marketing and like the ISL, that new International Swimming League. I think it's just been amazing what they've been able to do. And if we can kind of try to follow in their footsteps a little bit, I think that diving can become such a big sport in the US because it is such an amazing sport and so much fun for people to watch. So I'm excited for the future of diving. I think that we have a great group of young athletes coming up that are really passionate about where the sport can go.
Amen to that. I couldn't agree with you more.